Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Face to Face. My name is Barry, and I'll be your host today. And today we got a really special guest who have a seat in opposite of me right now, but it's quite special because this is where she always sat before. So let's meet Sophia.
Hi.
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 Ooh, that signature handshake, I like it.
Yeah.
So how are you today?
I'm really fine. I'm so confident today. I'm so happy. I'm so excited for today's
That's
talk.
good. So, how's the day for you?
How's the day?
Specifically?
Specifically, actually, I feel kind of awkward
Why?
because I'm sitting
Somebody
here.
here?
Usually, I sit there, and today I'm sitting here. But yeah, it's pretty nice. Like the angle is pretty nice. I like. Maybe we can change the seat.
Yeah, sure. So, anyway, today we're going to talk about the Shinsengumi, a Japanese untold history before. And here we got Sophia, a fangirl, who's really expert in this, and we're going to dig some information from her. I hope you guys like it.
Okay,
So
I'm ready for it.
you're
Bring
ready
the horse
for
on.
it.
Bring it
Okay.
on.
So first, let's get to know Sophia first. So
Yeah.
Sophia, can you please tell the audience about yourself first before we get on?
Okay, so hi viewers. As you have always known that my name is Sophia Virginia. I am also one of the hosts here, but today we have Barry as the host and I as the guest. So I'm from English department. I'm in my second semester, and yeah, I guess that's it.
Okay. If you got 2 words to describe yourself, how would you describe yourself?
2 words.
Yes.
2 words.
Or a list, or 5 lists. Anyway, I don't know.
2 words. Then I would
Yes.
say cheerful and fierce.
Cheerful and fierce.
Because I get a lot of that from people. People always give, like, they always tell me that their first impression on me will be fierce. I
Yeah.
don't really understand why. Can you explain?
Okay. Well, yeah, you look cheerful and I like it. And because like when I meet you and this is okay, I'm being exaggerating. Anyway, so so anyway, about Japanese. Why Japanese exactly? Because
Why
we talked
Japanese?
before this show and you said like you really like this Japanese thing. Why?
Why?
Japanese.
I don't really know, but basically I have this nature of liking history, and for some reasons Japanese history or Japanese cultures really impress me a lot. Like it's very different than any other history that I have read before, and yeah, I think somehow I fell in love with it, I guess.
So, do you have any specific topics or a specific area in this Japanese culture or language or anything that really amazes you, that you really like it?
Oh, I have actually 2 in my list. So first will be the military organization in the Japanese history called Shinsengumi, and then the other one will be the prostitution back in the era. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And today, actually, we're going to talk more about Shinsengumi. Could you give the audience a bit outline of what really Shinsengumi is?
Okay, so basically Shinsengumi is an independent organization sponsored by a huge or a big clan called Aizu clan back then, and they were actually not not called Shinsengumi at first. So they were actually Roshigumi at first before they were given a new name. And the Roshigumi is divided into 2 words, so Roshi and Gumi. So Roshi is basically a name for those samurai with no master.
Okay.
And Gumi means a group. So they are a group of masterless samurai. But then again, when we search into those people inside the organization or inside the group, they are actually not from samurai class. They're actually not samurai itself. So they are actually from a lower caste, like merchants, like farmers, but they have the same ambition, like a well-known samurai, like a good samurai. So they actually have this patriotism inside them, and they really want to serve their country, and that's how they come together and form an organization, and thus being known as Shinsengumi or Roshigumi.
Okay, so basically, are they a threat for Japan back then?
They weren't exactly a threat
Mhm.
back then, but they had a quite a bad reputation towards the citizens. So citizens knew them as heartless killers when they were actually doing their missions.
Okay.
So they thought, oh, Shinsengumi, they like to kill people. So that's basically their definition by the citizens back then, and they were feared because of their skills in swordsmanships. But they were actually trying their best to protect what they believe, and their master would be the shogun. So they were actually doing their mission.
Okay, so actually I'm a bit confused because you said first that they have no masters, but they have their own master in that organization. Is that like they got new master, or how is it?
Okay, so about the master thing. So basically, samurai they all serve a master. For example, let's say most of the retainers they
Yes.
serve the shogun,
Mm-hmm.
which was the leader of Japan back then,
Okay.
and they came together because they are not samurai. They are not
Okay.
samurai. That's why they called themselves Roshigumi, and they actually wanted to serve a master, which then they managed. So having a master means they become samurai. So that's why they wanted to serve the country by becoming a samurai, which were more samurai than the common samurai. So samurai had a very samurai back then was a controversial title. So actually, many samurais, those with official titles, they got it from their family, and they actually did a lot of violation to the samurai codes, which was known as
Okay.
Bushido. And Shinsengumi found that very nasty and very annoying, so they thought they should, take an action to improve the country.
To separate from the traditional samurai, is that?
No,
what you
they
need to
actually
say?
they actually believe in the principles of samurai.
Yes.
And those, actually samurai is a hard title, and it was a hard title to hold on.
Yes.
So people couldn't actually misbehave and stuff. And most of the samurais back then, they actually misbehaved a lot. And Shinsengumi, they were not samurai, right? But they admired to be a samurai.
Okay.
So they did their best to be the samurai of their own way.
So from what I've learned, they can be a role model for the citizens of Japan. Is that?
Yes, actually yes.
Yeah.
But then again, since it happened, they existed in the past in around 1863 to
Okay.
1869. So they couldn't actually be a direct role model for us right now, for the Japanese right now. But what we can learn from them is actually quite a lot from each specific of the men. So they have many interesting men inside. Now that I have researched quite a lot of them,
Okay.
since I have researched for 3 years and I'm still researching
That's
about them.
cool.
So for example, the commander, for the commander we have Kondo Isami.
Okay.
So at first he wasn't a commander, and he was really down to earth person, and he was really straightforward person, and he was really kind too. And at first it was Serizawa Kamo. It was the former actual leader or the chief or the commander of Shinsengumi. But the chief actually did a lot of violations, which caused the Aizu clan to pass down an order to actually assassinate them with the disguise of the rebels, the Chosu clan. So they actually tried to frame the Chosu clan back
Okay.
then, but Chosu clan was rebellious back then. And finally, once Serizawa Kamo was
Okay.
assassinated, Kondo Isama became the
Yes. So we don't want to spoil everything to the audience, so we're gonna be back later. So stay tuned on Face to Face. Hi viewers, welcome back to Face to Face. And just now we were talking about the vice commander of Shinsengumi. I'm sure you're a little bit curious about it, so let's talk to Sophia. So Sophia, how was it? The commander, how was it? Like, what makes them so famous actually? Can you
Okay, so
tell us
basically,
more about it?
one of the reasons why they were so famous were actually those people inside. So they were filled with men from many different backgrounds. And first of all, we did talk about the commander, how he was kind, he was straightforward, and he was down to the earth. But then at some point, actually, he got a kind of arrogant that some of his men actually made a petition to put him down as a commander.
His own man.
His own man.
Wow. Okay.
But then it didn't happen, and Kondo did return to his own self, down to the earth man he was. And then we have the vice commander, who was a very strict man. He actually made a 10 commandments, 10 rules for men of Shinsengumi, so they couldn't do this, do that, and blah 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 blah. And most of the times, men of Shinsengumi actually was condemned to cut their bellies because of the rules.
The seppuku, is it?
The seppuku or
seppuku.
harakiri.
Okay.
And that time, it was actually a form of honorable death, and most of them actually violate the rules, the 10 commandments.
How?
That they, for example, they took a married woman.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very bad.
Yes.
It's very controversial, and the vice commander didn't like that kind of behavior. So those 10 commandments actually were made for those men to act like one samurai in a proper way, because most of the samurai back then, they did a lot of violations in terms of taking money, killing innocent people and stuff like that. And the next one, we would have the captains of units. So first of all, we have the first unit, Okita Soji. The first unit was led by Okita Soji, and he was actually one of the most influential men that time, and he was known for his swordsmanship. So people actually rumored that he was the best swordman in Shinsengumi, and people actually feared him. And but he himself was not a scary man at all.
Okay.
He was the type of guy that
A funny guy.
Yeah.
A flexible guy.
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
That's fine.
And then we have the third unit captain, Saito Hajime, who was a very silent guy. That was what made him very famous, because he
never
wouldn't
talks.
Not that he never talks, but
Cool
he
man.
wouldn't talk unless you talk to him.
Okay.
That kind of man. And Saito Hajime actually hid many secrets.
Really?
Yes, that
Even
no
they-
one even knows until now. So
Okay.
he wasn't only the captain of one of the unit, he was also a spy
Okay.
directly from the Aizu clan under the surface of the Aizu clan head, Katamori Matsudaira. And he actually did a kind of spying in Shinsengumi to see how they work and all. And then we have the second unit captain, Nagakura Shinpachi, who actually lived until he was 70 something before he died of illness. He actually wrote a journal about Shinsengumi, and that's how we got the informations nowadays. And if we were to talk about the main reason why they were so famous, it was probably because of one incident called Ikedaya Jiken. So Ikedaya Jiken means incident of Ikedaya. There was one time we knew that the Choshu clan was trying to rebel its men. So men of Choshu actually tried to put Kyoto, the capital back then, on fire. They tried to burn everything.
Yes. Before you proceed, how exactly this clan works? Do this one clan affiliated with Shinsengumi and the other clan with another Shinsengumi, or there's this specific individual clan who just hate each other and try to destroy each other?
Actually, most
like
of
that?
the clans in Japan, there was this system made by the first shogun Tokugawa Ieyasu back in the Sengoku period. So he made that system of shogunate. So he became the first shogun, and the clans were actually his descendants, and those clans were actually supposedly retainers of the shogun. They were supposed to do a kind of distributive work
Yeah.
across Japan.
Mhm.
So it's pretty similar with how Indonesia does the governing now. So they have the head, and then he had many subordinates to
Okay.
lead. That's how
Yes.
it works. So each head of the clans
Mhm.
actually became the retainers for the shogun. So became the most close, the nearest subordinates for the shogun.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, there was this order from Aizu clan who got the information that Min of Chushu tried to burn the capital
Mhm.
that would harm many innocent lives. So they actually put Shinsengumi on work. They actually gave
Okay.
them on work, and they did superbly. They actually had two places to search. So they got the information that Min of Chushu tried to make a kind of meeting, either this place or that place.
Okay.
And they actually divided their troops into two. So one troop was led by Kondo Isami, the commander, and
Yeah.
another one would be led by Hijikata Toshizo, the vice commander. And the troop that actually got to the right place was actually the commander with only 13 members, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
So he went there, and actually two of their main soldiers, the most powerful one, actually got injured there. So it was Okita Soji and the captain of the 10th unit, Todo Heisuke. Todo Heisuke got a cut on his forehead, but he
Okay.
survived.
Mhm.
And then Okita Soji was known to have a tuberculosis disease, and it was said that the disease actually hit him that day. But there was this speculation that it was probably just the heat because it was summer back then. So it's possible that he didn't get that tuberculosis yet. So
Okay.
he actually vomited blood that day, and he actually felt fainted. But according to history, he managed to wake up and walk on his own feet back. And that was the Ikeda Jiken. They actually captured a lot of men and killed a lot of rebels. And that was known as one of their honorable events.
Okay, so you're talking about Shinsengumi attacking the rebel. What exactly happening inside Japan? Like, is it politically unstable in Japan that it has this Shinsengumi and it has this rebel as well? What really the higher purpose of that? Is there anything that ignites it?
Okay, so basically, that time Japan was a closed country
Okay.
mainly because Americans came to their ports, and they feared Americans because
Okay.
back then Americans were still blonde,
Uh-huh.
white, a very white skin, freckles, and really big build. So Japanese, as we know, they were very short. So they kind of feared. They actually called Americans giants back then.
Giants. Okay.
Yeah, and Americans came with their ship, a black ship, so they feared that. And back then there was this internal conflicts between those who support shogun and those who don't support shogun. So the anti-shogun would be the Choshu clan, and then the other one would be Shinsengumi and clans that actually support shogunate. And then there was this belief of Sono Joy.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically they actually have two heads of Japan. So first would be shogun, second would be the emperor. And the rebels actually believed that emperor should be the one leading Japan, not shogun, because shogun doesn't do much job. And,
Okay.
and shogun didn't do any good job as well. So they thought they should side with the emperor instead of the shogun. And that's how they got the internal conflicts inside within the pro-shogunate and the anti-shogunate. And then there was these effects from outside Americas, France, Spanish people. They actually tried to make a kind of collaboration with Japan.
Okay.
But then Japan was too focused on their own
Domestic
affairs.
Okay.
They actually feared some interference from outside. So they tried to close the ports. Some of them actually thought we should just kill those barbarians. That's how
Okay.
they called the Americans back then.
Uh-huh.
But they didn't notice that there was the technology difference and technology gap between the traditional Japanese, like their weapons and stuff, and what Americans used back then. So America would be much more advanced than Japan. So in the end, there was another conflict would arise. It became a lot more busier and more dangerous when the government actually shot a cannon at the American
American
ship.
ship.
So it became a kind of trouble back then.
Okay, that's cool. So there was this political instability
Yes.
and foreign affair problem as well.
Yes.
Like, okay, so actually, is there really any resolution to that?
Resolution. Actually, they didn't really look for the proper resolution like how we think right now. Back then, they only thought about how can we improve Japan, how can we improve our own country and stuffs. So the main problem would be the domestic affairs. So it's either shogun and emperor. So back then, emperor for centuries or for
Okay.
thousands of years had never led Japan. So he obviously didn't know anything about Japan. He only knew how to stay in the castle and
Yes.
enjoy his life. While shogun, for generations, had always been, leading Japan and all. And if there was such a shift, a big shift of sovereignty, it would cause a much more problem.
Okay, that's really interesting, guys. So I'm sure you're really curious about what comes next because we're going to talk more about Shinsengumi. So stay tuned on Face to Face. Welcome back to Face, and just now we talked about how this foreign policy towards Japan can affect this Shinsengumi problem. So we're gonna talk more about it with Sophia. So Sophia, you said before, basically the Shinsengumi formation is about the conflict between the emperor and the shogun. But again, there's this effect from the foreigners, such as the American, that really affects them indirectly. Can you explain more about it?
Okay, so basically Shinsengumi, first I would like to explain that Shinsengumi was a pro-shogunate
Okay.
group. So they actually served the shogun, while the rebels actually tried to put the emperor in full power. So back then, before there was this emperor called Emperor Komei,
Okay.
and he was actually kind of supported shogun, but he also wanted the power back for himself. But he kind of agreed with the shogun that they should close the port for the Americans because he feared that there might be a lot more troubles, so they had to deal with their internal affairs first. So basically, this Emperor Komei at some point was assassinated, and it was rumored that it was the rebels. So it could be the Chosu clan or the alliances, which would be the Tosa clan. So they actually had an alliance of anti-shogunate. So back then, Emperor Komei was suddenly, that time, he was actually sick from chicken pox.
Okay.
And people thought, in the past, people would isolate people with, unknown disease.
Yes.
And they
okay.
actually isolate the Emperor Komei in his own room. And only doctors would visit him. And suddenly, Emperor Komei was announced to be dead when, according to the information, Emperor Komei seemed to be getting well, but then he was suddenly announced dead. So the Shinsengumi had the kind of turmoil within them. What is going on? What the hell is happening?
Okay.
And they were kind of on rage, because the vice commander, however, knew what the problem was, and he knew that Emperor Komei was assassinated by the anti-shogunate, but we don't know who. Until now, we don't even know who. There was this rumor that it could be the first prime minister of Japan, Ito Hirobumi, but there is no proofs at all. But it was just a hypothesis. So Emperor Komei was announced dead, and they had this more turmoils coming on, because who would be the next emperor? And the next emperor, if the next emperor was young than the supposed age to understand what was going on in Japan, then there could be a counselor from his family. And the possible counselor was actually anti-shogunate.
Okay.
So they thought if the emperor came to arise for power, then there could be two blocks. So shogun would fight with the emperor, and the clans would gather their sources of weapons and actually wage war at each other. So that was what exactly happening, and the arrival of America actually did a bit of effects on them. So they had to divide their focus into two. So first of all, they had to focus on their own country,
Okay.
and the other one they would have to focus to the America. So they actually had a kind of dilemma. What should we do? What should we do? So basically, that's what happened. So Shinsengumi was affected hugely when the new emperor was elected, and the candidate for the shogunate actually tried to refuse. He didn't want to be a shogun at first, but in the end he did, and it would be the last shogun, called, if I'm not wrong, Tokugawa Yoshinobu. He was the last shogun.
Okay, so is there any support from the foreign countries such as America?
Yes.
Are they trying to have this heart of the Japanese, like, come on, we will help you, but please help us get into your country? Is there such politics scene happening
Actually,
there?
there was, but
Uh-huh.
it's kind of hidden. So it's kind of like backstreet connection.
Such as what?
Like, from what I have researched, America actually favored the Aizu clan, Katamori Matsudera. So America actually tried to support, but if I'm not wrong, it was France. If I'm not wrong, it was France or England that helped the shogun with their weapons and stuffs. I don't quite remember, but if I'm not wrong, it was. Okay, I'm not gonna say that because I'm afraid it's going to be inaccurate because I don't quite remember.
Okay.
So there was two countries. Each of them helped one block.
Okay.
So one country
The
helped
emperor.
the emperor, and one country helped the shogun.
Okay.
So basically, the country that helped the anti-shogunate, they actually had a more advanced weapons.
Okay,
While the
that's
shogun still, those samurais still use swords. They had their rifles already. And until the very last war, Shinsengumi still fought with swords.
Okay, that's interesting. Is there any aftermath after that? What happens to this Japan country after that turmoil, after that affiliation with the foreign country, after this fight by the rebellion and the emperor, like that? Is there any aftermath of
yeah,
that?
there was an aftermath. So basically, the resolution was found there.
Okay.
But because of the fight between shogun, the war between shogun and the emperor, so in the end, the emperor actually came to power, and he actually managed to conquer Japan. And Shinsengumi was divided into many forces. One of them actually wanted to help with Aizu in the area of Aizu, and one of them had to the Hokkaido, to Hakodate, to fight the war, to kind of, limit the power of the rebels. But until the very last day, the vice commander led Shinsengumi to Hakodate. The last war would be called Boshin War, and he actually died there, and the war was finished. And in the end, the shogun Yoshinobu, at some point he retired to show that he didn't want to fight anymore, and he would give the full power to the emperor. So in the end, the emperor came to his power, and it became his era.
Okay. So at last the emperor will be back to their reign.
Yes.
But again, is there any changes regarding from what happens before the fight between the rebel and the emperor? Is there any policy from the emperor after that regarding that previous accident?
Actually, I don't really search into that matters because it's already into the era of Meiji.
Okay.
It shifts from Edo period to Meiji period. So the emperor was named Meiji. And actually, after what has happened, the emperor actually did a lot of changes to Japan. They opened the ports. They let the Americans, the foreigners, come in and make changes to Japan, and that's how we call it the modernization of Japan. And it continues on to the next generation. The next emperor will be, if I'm not wrong, it was the Taisho era. And they had a mixture of clothes. They actually knew how to wear t-shirt like what you're wearing right now. They learned how to mix their kimono with pants and stuff. They actually got cheese, got milk, learned how to cook and stuff. Yeah.
So it has the influence from the foreigners as well.
Yes. So basically, at first, Japan was a closed country because they feared of the Americans.
Invasion.
Yeah. But then now that the emperor knew what was going on, what America wanted, so they opened the ports and let them in. While those people from Shinsengumi or from the pro-shogunate previously, they were given punishment, and they were punished as rebels and barbarians in return. And some of them actually managed to survive and go unpunished. For example, like Saito Hajime, the captain of the 3rd unit, and Nagakura Shinpachi, the captain of 2nd unit. They actually survived until they were 70-something and died by illness.
Okay, so from what we talked today, we can conclude that this fight between the rebel and the emperor really teach Japan in the next era. Do you agree with that?
I kind of agree with that because if not, it would take a kind of a long process, a long effect to the current era we're in. So basically, if Japan stayed closed, we wouldn't get any entertainment from Japan. We wouldn't get any technology from Japan. We wouldn't get any, like, let's say manga, the comics, and the animation. We won't get any of that. And I think I'm going to be really sad about that. And in return, I would say I'm grateful Japan actually had that kind of turmoil. They became an open country that accept technology and stuff, and here we are.
Okay, that's really cool. And now, in today's era, how can we find this legacy of Shinsengumi? How can today's people know that Shinsengumi exists, because this is kind of untold history, right? How can we get that right now?
Okay, so there are many legacies from Shinsengumi nowadays. You can actually look for the places in Japan, but most of them are in Kyoto and in their the area where they were born. So in Tama, in Musashino, in Hino. So basically, nowadays Japanese actually made a museum of them, and specifically there was this place that I really want to visit. It would be the museum of Hijikata Toshizo, the vice commander.
Where is it located?
It's actually in Hino area in Japan. It's slightly south from Tokyo to the south. It's actually near Tama, where Okita Soji was born. So in there was this there's this museum with many letters from Hijikata Toshizo, like his diary, his favorite haiku and stuff, many stuff about him. And there was also a place that was preserved especially for those who wanted to visit, like like in Musashino, you can actually visit that to visit the place where Kondo Isami, the commander, was born. And you can actually go to the place where they met in their dojo in Shiekan.
Where dojo still exists?
Yes. No, the dojo didn't exist, but there was this monument built for it. So their dojo named Shiekan, and they learned the art sword of Tennen Rishindyu. So you can actually visit there, and there was this monument and a small shrine there. You can actually go there. And you can actually go to the shrine where Okita Soji spent his last days there before he died of the illness.
So it's like his house.
Yes. And you actually visit graveyard of the men of Shinsengumi in Kyoto, and you can actually visit their headquarters back then in the residence of Yagi family, in the Mibu town, and you can actually visit the imperial castles at the same time. It's actually everything is all there. You can just go by walk.
In Kyoto.
In Kyoto.
Okay, there's actually gonna be a good tourism spot.
Yes, I plan to go there, but the plan is cancelled. I'm so sad. I'm so sad.
Why? How come?
Well, apparently, my plan to go to Japan was actually I was invited with my friend, but my friend told me that it was suddenly cancelled because he wanted to use the
Too
money
bad.
to do the student exchange program. But I really plan to go there someday, or maybe next year if I have the money collected already, so I will go there and visit.
Okay, that's really cool. I believe they also are in the cartoon in Japan, in anime and
Yes.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Yes, there are actually legacies in the form of animation, in the form of manga, and in many types of forms. So let's say we have manga, we have Japanese animation, and we have drama series, and we have games.
Okay.
So they all are in there with different series and different company. So let's say one of the biggest one would be Hakuoki. Hakuoki would be one of the biggest dating simulation game involved with Shinsengumi members.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
cool.
and it is actually one of the oldest game produced by Automate, one of the company,
Okay.
and it is still going on. I don't really
Yes.
understand. Well, maybe that's one of their
Yes.
creativity in improving. And there's the manga. There are tons of Shinsengumi related.
So that's really cool. So guys, I believe you really are interested in Shinsengumi right now, and you know where to find it, from going to Kyoto to this website to also this anime. And again, we're going to an end of the segment, but stay tuned right here because we got one more segment. Stay tuned on Face to Face. Welcome back to Face to Face, and right now we're going to sum up everything that we talk right now. So, Sophia, so we can learn about Shinsengumi in today's era from the internet, from going to the place itself, and
Yes.
also the anime.
Anime, games, drama series, mangas, everything, you can find it there, and there are tons of them. And I don't think that's enough because I
Okay.
don't feel that they suffice for my own needs. So I go ahead and search for websites and most of the records that I can find. I even order the books to read about it. And yeah, I think viewers that have the same interest can actually do the same, but it's going to be expensive.
Okay, that's cool. And also, can you give the audience an insight of what is the importance of learning this history of the untold things before, such as this Shinsengumi?
All right, so basically what we can learn from Shinsengumi as a history is mainly because they were very loyal towards their country, towards the government. They were really loyal, and I think they had this kind of sense of respect that we
Okay.
don't see nowadays, and I think it's really important nowadays. And they were very obedient in terms of secrets. So, for example, I'm telling you one secret, but the next day I hear it from another
Okay.
person. That is happening a lot right now. I don't think it's very respectable.
Yes.
So we can actually learn the loyalty, the sense of respect, and the silence from Shinsengumi. And they were actually a group of people with low caste. So I think we can learn from that. Whoever we are and whatever we are, we can actually fight for our dreams and we can actually reach it like how they did in the past. And yeah, I think that's a very important thing to learn from Shinsengumi. Yeah.
Okay, like because one of my friend also knows Shinsengumi, but he knows it from an anime. He said it was in the
Yes.
Samurai X, which I don't really follow.
Yes. Oh, okay.
It's really
For let me clarify a bit. For Samurai X was actually the continuation of the Edo period. So it was
Okay.
supposed to be in Meiji era. So it was not exactly about the Shinsengumi, but there was a member of Shinsengumi involved, which was Saito Hajime, the third unit, who then became one of the police officer And it was exactly what happened in the story of Samurai X.
Okay, so they depicts him as a police, but they want to get the influence of Shinsengumi in that anime as well. Is that like that?
Well, I'm not the author, so I don't really
Okay.
know. But I know that the author actually took many references from the Shinsengumi members. So let's say the character Sano, it was
Okay.
actually reference of Sanosuke Harada in one of the member of Shinsengumi. If I'm not wrong, he was the 10th captain, the 10th unit captain. So and then let's say, what was his name? The guy with double sword.
I don't really follow this.
Yeah, basically that was that guy. And according to the author, it was referenced from Hijikata Toshizo.
Okay.
And who else? And Saito Hajime was, he was involved directly as Saito Hajime.
Okay, so we've come to an end. Can
we talk more about this?
Yeah, we can talk more for sure. So what we get today is Shinsengumi is really awesome.
Yes.
That we can really learn a lot from it, and we can really get more knowledge from it, and it's really important for us to learn about this. Okay, so guys, we've come to an end, and thank you for the cruise and for everyone. Thank you for our guest Sophia. Okay, thank you so much. So see you next week on another face to face. Bye. Okay.